What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind.
The show will start shortly, so while you wait, let's get to know your hosts. Kim and Carlos are a married couple, grew up in the same small town, and met because of sports. Here's a blast from the past of what we were like back then. Fun facts about Carlos: he was our high school basketball star, and he ran a leg of the Olympic torch run for the 1984 Olympics. I was a freshman when Carlos was a senior. He wrote these messages to me in our yearbook back in 1985. We decided to start our podcast in 2023. Our first season used this cover art. The first season was our memoir about getting your child through cancer. The name of our show has deep meaning for us because doctors would always blow us off with these two words, typical and unique. We made this montage part of our intro for a while.
Hit with so many typicallys and uniques.
Oh, yes, that is very typical. We see it all the time.
Don't worry about it. That's typical, you know.
Oh, every child is unique, so we can't say what is typical.
That's typical. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, that's unique. We don't really see that very much.
Yeah, typical or unique.
Since then, we took a break from podcasting and came back with season 2 as a discussion podcast, mostly discussing true crime. We can talk about almost anything on here, though. Tonight is our first live, and we thank you for joining us. Now, if you're ready, let's get into it. Welcome to Typically Unique. I'm Kim Aponte, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos. Don't do that.
Hello.
We had audio trouble last time, so I'm pretty sure I picked the mics this time.
Yeah, we're good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. So we watched last night. Oh, why am I so?
Yep.
Last
Wednesday,
night?
Thursdays back to back. So
Holy
midweek
moly.
is crazy.
Yep. So we watched last night's episode, and
My girl's a train wreck.
yeah, boy, we've been waiting for that meltdown. So yeah, it finally happened. We got to see it, and there was a lot of stuff that went on with that. But we should start at the nominations, right?
Yeah.
All right.
that's how they started the episode. The nominations had been made Sunday night, right? And then they all leave the table and poor Chemo was crying. And I think he's going to be a fan favorite.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants him to go home. And he was really, he's a super fan. So to be nominated the first round, I think that was emotional for him. Kenny's definitely the target. So, well, so at that point, the three people she put up. So Chemo was on the block, Kenny was on the block, and Lisa was on the block.
Right.
Lisa was crying, Chemo's crying. Kenny's like, I gotta win the veto.
Yeah, he did the criminal or the what's that word where he did something he shouldn't have done, and he gave himself a nickname. You should not give your Kenny K is gonna. I'm like, yeah, don't give yourself a nickname. You can give your alliance a nickname, but don't give yourself a nickname.
I think he did that to try to cover up his that he's a police officer because he's like, I'm the sausage cart man, and people call me this. So he had this whole
persona
thing planned out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how I took that.
Okay, but he's in the diary room, so. No, you shouldn't give
what do
yourself
he call himself? Sweet Kenny?
Some Kenny K. Kenny K. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I noticed on Chemo's face when he was nominated that I was like, oh, he's gonna start crying. And boy, it didn't take long, and he started crying. But Lisa started crying because she was blindsided. Yeah, she totally didn't see it coming. She thought. She came in with the plan that I'm going to be the cook. I'm going to take care of people, and I'm going to be fun and exciting and, have the edible glitter and all this stuff. And she thought, oh, my plan's working to perfection. And then when she got nominated, it was like, whoa, slap in the face. My plan isn't working. Time to reassess. She
was playing the whole group. She didn't take the personal approach. She wasn't like one-on-one with people. So we saw
right
what it seems like. And that's what Angela claimed for putting her up.
Right.
So, when they leave the table, what's the first thing they do?
Oh, everybody hugs.
They start hugging each other and consoling the people that are upset. And, Angela was, making up her excuses of why she put them up on the block. But what was the big thing about the hugging?
Well, someone didn't hug. But before we get to Huggate, we should talk about that. During the nominations, Angela was crying.
Oh, fake.
Oh, okay. All right. Because this is your girl.
I'm going to bring this up later too. There were many times during this episode where by the end of the episode, I'm like, she's playing a persona. I feel like I wouldn't even be surprised if she was put in that house, since everybody's saying she's been on all these shows and stuff. Yeah. Like, she's got a role. She's playing the villain role. And she's got a good fake cry. She's got a really good fake cry.
So my understanding is a little off topic, but I heard that some of these shows like Survivor and Big Brother and shows like that are trying to get away from villains. So it's funny you say that.
Did they say why?
It's just not
PC or
probably, who knows, but just, you got to be a little careful, but that's just something I had heard kind of off of the Big Brother topic. But a lot of these shows are trying to get away from, planting bullies and things like that, people with that type of
they missed her
character. Yeah.
And she's my pick so far. But, oh man.
How do you want to reassess that pick at any point, or?
Yeah, I'm really liking Mackenzie as a player. Like, I feel like so far in the game, she's made some smart moves, especially as a woman. Like, she's not getting suckered in by the, showmance. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I have to give you that.
She seems like she's keeping her head on her shoulders.
And that's your type of player that you like, right? You like the strong woman, you know. What in the world made you think that Angela was that going into it? I have no idea, but anybody who exuded that during the very first episode in their bios was Mackenzie, because she is a project manager for a construction company and deals with men all day long, and said, I have to kind of put things in their place. And but you gravitated right towards Angela.
Well, I didn't know anything about her. There was no real background information out yet, and she's my age, and I don't know. I related to that, so I'm not disowning her yet, but she's embarrassing herself.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not claiming that craziness. We say everybody has a little bit of crazy, but there's degrees, and she's way on the end.
Okay.
For the way she's playing.
Yeah, you're not playing the violin on the Titanic here, are you?
Like ready to go down with the
yeah, I'm thinking you should grab a life raft or at least a lifeboat, get off that ship. But right.
because with this game, it can be strategy. Yeah. So that's the only reason. Like the people that go in there with like the high moral code get voted out. So usually,
and to your point,
except that one girl that has won the most. What was the blonde that met her husband? She was real soft spoken.
No, I know who you're talking about. She got glasses.
Her.
But I don't know her name. Yeah, I don't know. We did talk the other day though that sometimes it's good to keep people in who have targets on them, because then that shields you from everybody else. So
yes, that might work in her favor, because people will be like, keep her in, everybody wants her out.
Yeah, then you can get other people out, stronger players, because they don't see it coming.
Yeah.
All right, but we can talk about Angela a lot in this episode. But
back to the hugging.
Yeah, Huggate. And what did Huggate lead to?
Everybody was giving Angela a consolation hug except for Matt. So that just irked her, and she stewed on it all night, and he slighted her, and how dare he. And she goes in a back room and she starts talking to Chelsea and Cedric, I think were the two people. And she just seems like she's going in there to vent, but oh my gosh, she started mocking him and calling him crazy eyes, and she started making her eyes go super bad look. That was disgraceful that she did that.
Right. And they
were looking at her like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she at one point, I think didn't a couple people come in the room after the vote, and after everybody hugged, she went back upstairs, and I don't know if she went to bed yet or not, but it was right before a couple people came in and were trying to talk to her. I didn't know she went downstairs and talked to people, but a couple people came in and told her about, hey, the group or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know.
They do. That comes later. So right after the hugging. Yeah. So the collective.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was Joseph and Quinn. They were talking to her about, because Quinn's the one that went to her and said, I have the secret power. So they have that too.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Joseph, and they're like, we'll go out and we'll get an alliance for you.
Right.
So she was like, I don't really remember them saying we'll go out and do that, but that's what they ended up doing. And they got half the house,
Yeah.
So it was Joseph, Chelsea's the basketball player, Cedric, T-Core, Chemo, Cam, and Quinn.
Right.
All agreed to be in this alliance. And then another stupid thing that Angela did was she got mad about the alliance, but that was the next morning.
Oh, okay.
So she stewed all night.
Okay.
They showed her, when you're head of household, hi, Kip Kitty. They stewed all night, or she stewed all night. This is why I think she's totally putting on a show and acting, because she was talking to herself in the bed. She knows people are watching the live feed.
Right.
So she's there to give the audience what they want. So she's talking out loud, and how dare Matt, and he's a little brat. And I don't know if she said anything out loud about the alliance at that point.
I think she did. That's why I kind of brought it up, because I think she was like, I'm not going to fall for that. The collective.
Yes.
She kept, bobbing her head back a little bit. And I don't know. It just seemed like she was getting herself riled up, all night long, and then so in the morning, right? Wasn't everybody kind of downstairs getting ready for breakfast or something?
Yes.
And then, go ahead.
Well, before that, you just watched it. I know we're talking about all the crazy things that she did. Before that, so they're showing everybody at night going to bed for the night. So Angela's doing her crazy talk.
That's right. Yeah.
And then they showed Matt, and they're calling her MJ now. So they're calling Mackenzie MJ.
Gotcha.
So they just so happened to get the last two beds available right next to each other. So they were kind of flirty talking back and forth to each other. But I wanted to talk about them real quick because she is like, I am woman, hear me roar. Women can do anything men can do, And he, at the beginning, when he introduced himself, said, I'm a Southern gentleman. Do you think that's going to be like opposites attract, or how do you see that playing out for them?
No, I don't see it really working. I don't think it's going to work, but I think it's nice to, start to build maybe what they think could be a showmance. I'm not sure that, I've been wrong before, but I just don't feel like this one's going to evolve into a showmance.
If it does, they're going super slow because they'd be swinging in the hammock already.
Court and Angela, they would be.
Yeah. So then that's what happens the next morning. She goes down the steps, and I didn't see on the TV if she was clapping as she came down.
They were clapping for her.
I thought they started clapping because she was clapping, but they didn't really show her.
Yeah.
So everybody starts clapping, and they're like giving her they're like playing along, like, ha ha. And she came down and just let loose. Like, she made up her mind that night. And so she goes at Matt again, goes at his neck. And not only does she just go at Matt, but she, oh, you think the guests clap first? Okay. I couldn't tell. Which was weird, but I guess they're like playing into the game, right? They're like, okay, here comes the head of household.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She starts picking on Matt so bad and talking about his mom and how embarrassed his mom's gonna be. And that, out of anything, affected him the most. And she was calling him crazy eyes to his face. Like, that's where I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I can't endorse that. That was ugly behavior. She throws Mackenzie in the mix. You can do better than him. And she's like, we had a moment like this the other day with my daughter. Someone was kind of going at me, and then they made a comment to my daughter, and she's like, what did I do? Mackenzie kind of had that same look, like, what did I do?
Right.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too.
I think my take on that whole thing was, certainly it was out of line completely, 100%. And, I still get the competition of things. So, I'm kind of down with that. But this just seemed way too personal, way too, she got herself super riled up. And I think what gets me as, an over 50-year-old gentleman, and I don't think, our daughter's in her mid-20s, right? I couldn't even imagine doing that to one of my daughter's friends.
Yeah, no way.
Like, unprovoked like that, right? It just, like, how would I look as a, gentleman over 50, having a conversation like that? Just, I don't know. There has to be something in your brain, or your body somewhere that says, hey, this is how I feel, but this is what I'm going to express outwardly. And you hope that trigger, that on-off switch is working. I think hers is broken.
I see it both ways. Like, at some point, you got to be the adult in the room, right? You're the adult. She's a mom. She's a grandma. You got to be that adult. We also talk about mental health issues a lot. And some people, like you said, that gets broken because of trauma or other things. That happens, but recognize it. and get some help for it, Hey, we've all had to do some work, right?
For sure.
Like when you keep like having either failed relationships or friendships or family things, at some point you got to look in the mirror and be like, I'm the common denominator here,
Right.
when things are going wrong. So yeah, I hope when she watches this back, she's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I know there's, some of this, in her family right now, like, ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, okay, so we've thoroughly destroyed Angela and she has thoroughly destroyed herself. But, let's hope that there's some redeeming qualities and she can, pull out of this in some way, hopefully some self-reflection. I think I'm all down for that. Right. So that's my hope for her. But I think at the end of the day, even after that was over, she was unable to self-reflect because she went right back up to her room and just started watching everybody and she just wanted to dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, man, was that wrong? Should I have not done that? No, she almost doubled down on the
like analyze every single person who's talking to who and what are they doing
and this
almost
collective.
like insanity.
Yeah, like there's no collective because Quinn's talking to Matt and they could be talking about breakfast, but they're talking and now it's just I don't know. It just seemed the double down was scary for me. But
well, she called out the collective at breakfast. She that's when she said I forget how she was talking about them, but basically saying like she doesn't trust them. And Quinn's face was like, what? Like, what are you doing? What? Like, and him and Joseph are like, we went out and did this for you because she knows. I think the point was she knows she's going to have a huge target on her back next week when she can't be HOH.
Right.
So you would think would want to be in this big alliance with people on your side to protect you. And she just threw them all under the bus.
Yeah. So. And the other point we talked about in our last episode, which was yesterday, we taped that one. It was Quinn. We were kind of looking at Quinn like, should you be telling Angela about your secret power? And we thought, okay, they both have power this first week. You kind of take it a week at a time. But Quinn, who's supposedly a super fan, didn't think of the long game here. And Angela having a meltdown, she's going to start throwing everything out, doing anything to save her
spill the beans. Yeah, she's not going to keep her mouth shut.
Heck no.
Yeah, Kip Kitty, she's been watching. She said they've all been dumbfounded at her actions.
Yeah, for sure.
And not a smart game move for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could not believe when she called out that alliance. I was like, what did they do? What are you talking about? But it was like all in her head.
Yep.
Yeah. So now, as soon as she calls out an alliance, what does the alliance do? They go running to go talk to each other. It seems like Chelsea and Cedric are close.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happening with them on the live feeds. But on the TV show, they haven't really showed them. They've showed them talking a lot, but not like this. I bet that'll be coming. I bet they're spending time together and getting to know each other because they're having some conversations. So, but they're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I think, put the Angela stuff aside, put the Matt and Mackenzie potential showmance, aside a little bit. I think there are and the collective, let's put that aside even for a second. I think there are some potential good alliances that haven't formed yet. I know the collective named themselves, but that's already in shambles. But I agree with you. I think there are a couple people who seem to mesh well. I would like to see Joe and Quinn get together a little bit more and just kind of do their own thing. I think those two, I know the guys, the strong guy alliance was kind of out there for a minute because most of them were in the have not room and kind of bonding over that, but they haven't shown any of that. So, hopefully some more of that's to come.
Right. Yep. So then they have the veto competition. It's time for the veto competition. And having a lot of questions like, how is this going to work with the AI arena and all of that? Apparently that's going to be tonight. So last night was.
I don't think the AI arena is going to be tonight.
You think it's Sunday?
I believe it's Sunday when they vote.
Okay. I'm so confused.
But what I do want, what I finally figured out, and it took me 3 times or, watched one episode twice and another episode, I finally figured out what the veto is. So in the past, I'll ask you this question. I'll put you on the spot. I know you don't like this.
I don't like to be put on the spot.
I know, but we're going to test your Big Brother knowledge. In the past, how many participants were there in the veto competition? So how many people would participate in the veto?
5?
Wrong.
7.
Again, wrong.
6.
Yes. Because it would be the head of household. So, I mean, if you just think about it logically, right? If you remember in the show, the head of household, the 2 nominees, and they would all pick a chip, right? To have someone play with them. So the head of household would pick, the 2 nominees would pick, and that would be the 6 people who played in the veto, right? You remember that? Does that come back to you? Okay. So now they have 1 head of household and 3 nominees. And I think what Big Brother is trying to do is keep the participants at 6.
Okay.
Because if the head of household picks another house guest to play in the veto, and each one of the nominees pick one, you would have 8 participants.
Did they have 6 last night? I thought they only had 4.
I am going to tell you the whole story, baby.
Right.
Let it come to you.
Well,
Let it come to you. So what Big Brother's trying to do is try to keep it at 6. So now the head of household picks a name out of the box. And if it's a house guest name, they pick. They get to play the veto. So that's 1. Now there's 3 nominees up there. Normally the nominees would pick. They're not picking. The head of household picks again. If the head of household picks a house guest name, they also play in the veto. If the head of household picks one of the nominees' names, they get to pick a house guest to play in the veto. And that's what happened last night.
Yeah, and they did not explain that at all.
I just figured it out because they didn't explain it well. And the way Angela read it just seemed like every other read that they have. I didn't really catch the twist or the difference until after it happened. So that is how the veto will continue going forward with 6 players, not 8.
So, okay. So let me see if I got this. So Angela gets the head of household gets to play. The 3 nominated get to play. So that's 4.
Correct.
The head of household's going to pull a name out of the bag.
Yes.
If it's just another house guest, they get to play.
They get to play.
If it's, so she pulled Lisa's name out of the bag and Lisa's on the block. So Lisa picked Brooklyn.
Yes.
So that made 6.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So when Angela,
there's your veto lesson for.
So when Angela picked, she picked Joseph. Joseph played in the.
Because he wasn't on the block.
Yeah, he wasn't on the block. He was just a house guest sitting on the couch. She picked him. Then she picked again, and she picked Lisa's name. So Lisa got to pick somebody.
Oh, the 6th person.
She picked Brooklyn.
Got it.
So I finally figured that out when we rewatched it. So
the game they played is probably one of my least favorites. They had to run around and it was the spelling bee.
Yeah.
They had to run around and find letters, and they did add a twist to it this year. And I thought it was funny because they're trying to have this AI theme. So they had to run around, find letters, try to spell the longest word. And they were bees. So it was like honey, liquid stuff that they're sloshing around in. And they added the delete button, which is AI related. But I was like, come on, you couldn't get more technical than that. It should have been a more techie game, I thought. But so they did get to eliminate letters, so that made it even more challenging. So Lisa won the veto, so she was on the block, so she won the veto.
What was Lisa's word that she won with, the longest word?
Transform. So I think they said it was 9 letters.
9 letters,
long,
correct.
So Yeah, she was smart with that because they took out the E. And she probably thought, I'm not going to use a word with an E in it.
Right.
So she takes herself off the block. And who does Angela put up?
Matt.
She's got it out for Matt now.
Yeah.
So they end with Matt on the block. And he had a chance to get saved, though. And we're still trying to figure out America's veto.
Yes.
Like, how is that going to work?
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about the replacement nominee. So she takes, Lisa uses the power of veto on herself. She takes herself out. No drama here. We knew Matt was going up. Matt goes up. Seems to play it okay in the moment. That changes, but in the moment he plays it okay. And good. So now there's Matt, Kenny, and Chemo on the block. So for the potential girl alliance, here's an opportunity to get a guy out. Never ends up working, but okay. So we'll go for it. But then MJ and Matt were talking a little bit before the veto that she had the America's veto that she won for voting in Ainsley from AI and won the competition. She could use the veto to save him. We don't know how this is going to work, but she did not use it. So I think there's still some misunderstanding about how the America veto works. Do you want to explain that?
But I think that's her being smart. She's like, look, we're a few days in, I'm not gonna be suckered by a pretty face and use my power. So good for her.
Yep.
Because that's not how that would always go.
No.
So that's good. The other thing,
but before you sing all of her praises, she did tell Matt and somebody else, I can't remember who.
So that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
It's Leah, Matt, and Mackenzie have this friendship, and that was really cute. Like they seem like really good friends, and they're just hanging out and having a good time.
The throwmance, what they call it?
Yeah, I think that is what they call it.
Three romance.
Yeah.
Romance.
I like them, and so she did confide in them, which. That I could see, I guess. Let's see, hanging out together probably 24 hours for 3 days or however many days they were there. Like I could see that. So
yeah,
I like that group. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to change. They didn't name that as an alliance though, Throwmance. It's just their friendship that they were calling that.
Right.
Yeah. So no official alliance name from them.
So do you want to explain what you think the America veto is?
Here's another thing we don't agree on.
Just because I don't understand it. Not that I disagree with you. I don't understand
it. So Mackenzie was contemplating using it last night. So it looks like she could have.
Yeah.
So I was saying they have the normal veto competition. Someone could be taken off the block for that, and then a replacement goes up. Then it looks like she could use her America's veto and take down who she wants. So then there's an empty seat because they're going to let America vote. And I said they can let America vote between Wednesday and Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because they would need time to let America vote.
Yeah, and I think...
Or do they just give them 24 hours? So they just vote between Wednesday and Thursday.
So it's called America's veto. I don't know if America's voting. I know it's America's veto.
America gets to pick the replacement.
Okay. So if America picks the replacement, it would almost have to be immediate. Because...
Well, they could. It's technology. It's AI.
Yeah. So if they take somebody off the block and the House has to start to decide who do we want to vote out, you can't not have somebody on the block and be privy to all of these conversations and then be at the end of the week put on the block. I mean, it doesn't lend for any strategy. When you take a nominee off, you must immediately replace them. You can't have a period of time
with nobody on
nobody on the block. How are you going to strategize as to it just throws the game in chaos, which is fine, but that's not how Big Brother's been played.
What other shows have we watched? Like, what is it? America's Got Talent, or who used to let people call in and vote for people? The singing show,
American Idol.
American Idol.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that?
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah, like
they can be done.
Yeah, if it's live,
they'll be like, oh, because it's recorded.
Yeah, if it's live, they can do it. But
they'll say go to the website. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe they'll do it on the live feed. They'll let America's live feed pick.
I'm sure there's a way that you could immediately say, hey, for the next 2 hours, the only thing about that is, we're United States is in 3.5, 4 time zones, and is the East Coast going to be the sole bearer of these America votes, because West Coast hasn't seen this show? I mean, there's just too much.
You got good questions, babe.
Because I'm a viewer. I'm a viewer of the show. I watch the show. I pay attention to the show.
Hopefully we'll find out tonight. Maybe we'll find out. Well, we're going to find out by Sunday because that'll be a whole week cycle. So definitely we're going to find out.
I don't think we're going to find out exactly how they're going to do it because they didn't explain it great the first time.
It's not going to get used, probably.
Until it gets used, are we going to really understand how they're going to use it?
But here's what I think. You keep saying it's going to take strategy out of it. I'm really hoping that this huge game change that ththey've made this year is going to create new strategies.
I agree with that.
Whole when the back door you talked about that got invented. That was it. And it was like such a light bulb moment. Like I remember, first of all, it probably took me just as long to understand what they were doing. Like episode after episode, you're like trying to explain it to me.
Right.
And then it just became standard. But yeah, I'm hoping that there's some strategies that come out of this that no one's thought of, but even the Big Brother producers haven't thought of it.
No, I agree with you that there's an opportunity this year to do many things different, like the immediate voting. I think that's a great thought on your part. I love that more than, hey, let's give them till Sunday to put a nominee up. That just doesn't seem to compute with me, but I agree with you that this season could throw traditional strategy out the window and make them come up with new innovative strategy going forward. So I agree with you 100% on that. That's a good take. That's a good take, Kimberly. That's a good take.
All right. So we have got about a couple hours before it'll be on. Hour and a half.
Yep. So let's overall, this past episode was completely dominated by Angela, and her antics. I hope tonight we start seeing the personalities and the connections of all the other house guests.
Yes.
I really like, I think his name is Cedric. He's the guy who can't play in the veto and all that. And
the mascot. He's been an excellent mascot.
I'm starting to like him a little bit. He's a little bit funny. He's a little bit compassionate. He's a well-rounded individual at 21, it seems. Yeah,
and he embraced it and went out there and he's cheerleading.
Yeah,
acting the part, which makes it fun.
Yeah, and So he's starting to ingratiate himself with me. I want to learn a little bit more about the characters. I think there's a few of them, like I probably say her name wrong, T-Core and Brooklyn, that I think on the women's side, I'd like to hear about their personalities a little bit more and see what they're about.
Yeah, they haven't shown them interact.
On the guy's side, I was really looking forward to Joseph and Quinn and to find out, are they funny? Are they very smart about the game, and learn a little bit more about their personalities? Both of them seem to be very self-deprecating. I use that humor a lot. It brings the guard down and people around you, and it can be very effective. So if they do that, I think they'll go a long way. So I'm kind of looking forward to see how their personalities played out. But my dark horse in all this turned out to be, with the little bit I've learned, is Cedric. So what's your take?
I am liking, like I said, Mackenzie and Leah. Like
Yeah,
just the little
surprisingly.
bit that
Yeah.
I saw her interacting with them, I'm like, oh, she really seems like a kind, fun, loving
Mhm.
person. Hasn't been a whole lot of crazy
Right.
from her. My gut instinct tells me I'm going to like Quinn, although I thought it was stupid of him to tell Angela,
Agreed.
but you know, hey, mistake.
Yep.
And I think Joseph is going to be,
Hmm.
he's been the quiet, he's like in the mix, but he's being low key about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to like him too.
Right. Right. Any predictions for tonight?
What we don't even know what they're going to do tonight.
No. Is there any predictions for tonight? Like, what do you expect to see tonight? Anything?
Maybe are they going to bring back, like, remember how they used to do the competitions for like rewards and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they could bring that back. That I used to love that. They used to like let them win wardrobes and trips and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Like those were good.
Yeah. But
I don't
think-
know if there's a competition. Maybe AI is going to do something tonight.
Right.
Maybe
right.
AI will do.
When is eviction night? Is it always on Sunday or is it Thursday?
I thought they said at least this one is Sunday. So I
Sunday.
don't know.
Okay. So Thursday's just going to be a filler show then, right? Just,
Yeah.
all right, here's the veto. Here are the nominees. Everything's done for the week until the AI, because they're going to take 3 down to 2 on Sunday night.
Although I thought someone in the chat last night said that the AI competition was tonight.
I heard it was right before the,
I know. See,
yeah.
we're so confused.
Yeah. Well, what's good? I mean, we're learning this new fangled Big Brother. So yeah, excited to see it. We got about hour or so before the next episode.
Yep. So thanks for joining us for this discussion, and we're gonna get it down after this week. We got to go through one full week to see how all these new changes are going. But yeah, we're struggling with that a little bit because they're just not explaining it.
I
like,
would,
where's Julie Chen to come on and be like, here's the new rules? But
I wouldn't say it's struggling. We're talking through something. That's what this podcast is for, right?
I'm exact, just language.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking through it. I think there's people, who are watching and are maybe asking some of the same questions or bounce it off somebody. We get to bounce it off each other. We get to bounce it off you. And if you have questions, put it in the chat. If you have some answers, put that in the chat. Help us out here a little bit. But we have each other and we're watching the same thing and we're still confused. So
sit there and watch the same thing and have 2 complete different understandings of what we just heard.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So it's Thursday. So we will come back on Sunday before Sunday night show. We'll talk about what happens tonight. So
all right.
We'll see everybody then. Bye.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Flying, get on board. We're smiling on top of the world. Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.